Okay, advanced topic. We're going to talk about things that are array-like versus things that are iterable. Array-like are just objects with indexed key names, like this object, 0, 1, 2, 3, and a length property. So right now, this has no length property, so it's not array-like. If something is iterable, that just means it has a symbol.iterator method implemented inside. Now, these are not the same thing. Things can be both or neither. Okay, so strings are both. Okay, because strings has a dot length. Numbers are neither. Okay, arrays are both. You can loop through arrays and you can do dot length. Map is only iterable. You can loop through it, but it's not array-like. It doesn't have a dot length. It has dot size. Okay, so let's look at our object right here. When we try to do array.from it, we get an empty array. But when we try to do the spread operator or for of loop, it says it's not iterable. Right now, this object, to make it array-like, we just need a length property. So our length is 4. See? Now the array.from works because array.from works on array-like things and also iterables. But the spread operator only works on something that is iterable. Okay, can we make this object iterable? Yes. We can actually just take this away. Now, the iterable or iteration protocol says we need a method that evaluates to symbol.iterator unique key underneath the hood. Okay, and this can be a function or a generator function, which I'm going to do because it's a lot shorter to write. Okay, so now in here, I'll just do a while loop, while count, which I will define soon. While count is less than the length of this object, which we can get from object.keys, passing in this dot length. So while it is less than that, we're going to yield what? We're going to yield this at count plus plus. And then out here, I'm going to do let count equal to 0. So now let's see. Okay, so now array.from works. Why is that? Well, we took away the length property, so it's no longer array-like, but it's iterable, so it works. And being iterable means the spread operator will also work. Now, if we put back in the length, let's say length is 4, comma, it is now both array-like and iterable. Okay. But do you know why we get this undefined right here? Because when we did object.keys, this dot length, it also counted the length property. Okay, so that's why we get undefined. And the iterator is not going to give you the value if the key name is not a number. Okay, if the key name was a number or a string, it will give you the value. Let's change it to 444. See? Because this is part of the iteration protocol. It must be index key names, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order. Okay, but now, did you know that the map method and for each and all of that actually works on array-like structures and not just iterables? So let's change this back. Let's change this length back to 4. Okay, so now it's array-like again. Now, let's add a property called map, and then the value we're going to steal from array.prototype.map. Okay. Oops, forgot comma here. All right, so now let's console.log obj.map, taking in a value, and I'm going to return the value plus blah. Let's see what we get. We get my blah, name blah, is blah, and Philip blah. Now, this is not iterable, but it's array-like. So map actually works on it. Okay, now, how do we do it so that the length can change dynamically? Because right now, we actually have to just put in a number. Okay? What if we add like one more property? This is 4, and this is Philip 2. Okay, so now we have to change the length to 5. Can we just do length is equal to object.keys, this dot length? Does this work? No, it doesn't work, okay? Because when you're trying to find the length in this object, it's going to look at this length, okay? And this length is not defined yet because we're still inside of this object. So it doesn't work, okay? So what if I do the length outside like this? Does it work now? Well, it works, but we have an issue. We have an empty sparse array here. Why is that? Well, when you do object.keys, remember it does a for in loop. And for in loop will list everything that has enumerable equals true, including this map key. Okay. Now, when you are looping through an array, the map method cannot read keys that are not string numbers. This is map. So since it cannot read that, it cannot read the value of Philip2. So it just returns undefined. Okay? I mean, the value of the array.prototype.map. So how do we fix this? Well, we can actually make this a symbol. Okay, so you can just say, I will use a global symbol, global.for, and I will say my map. Okay, now we can do object.length right here. That's fine. But then now we have to change this. Instead of .map, how are we going to call this symbol? Well, remember for global symbols, you can actually just use square brackets, and then we define it in here. So we're going to get this from the global symbol registry. Okay, so we're going to get object at symbol.mymap, right? And then we're going to call it with this. So now if you look on the right, it works now. We no longer get an extra sparse array because symbols are not listed as keys under object.keys. How cool is that? All right, let's take a look at functions now. Function, let's just call this function test. It takes in no argument and it doesn't even return anything. What happens if I do test.length? 0. If I give it one argument, test.length is 1. Okay. So remember, functions are objects under the hood. Now, is this array-like because it has a length property? Well, yeah, but it's missing what? It's missing index key names. What if we give it index key names? Let's make this length 3 by giving it 3 arguments. Okay, and then you can do test at 0 is equal to, whoops, let's just do string 0 and then 1 and 2. Okay, this is 1, 2, and I'll make this 1 and I'll make this 2. Okay, so now it has properties that are indexed 0, 1, 2, and it has a length property. So does that mean you can do array.from? Let's see, you actually can. Test. See? Now, the thing about functions is that you cannot change the length. You cannot do test.length is equal to a really large number. And then over here, if you do test.length, it's still 3. Okay. All right, so in summation, a function is an object. If it's an object, you can add properties to it. If you add indexed key name properties, passing in the correct amount of argument, you can make it array-like. And since it's array-like, you can use array.from it. Now, remember, when we use either array.from or the spread operator, it will actually convert it to a true array. Okay? So if we put this as const mi array is equal to array.from, and then I'm going to do array.isArray, mi an array, and it will say true. What array.from does is that it just lets whatever you pass in, like test, inherit from array.prototype. So now you can do things like .map, .filter, .foreach through it. Okay, I hope all of this was helpful.